Welcome back to Girls Unplugged. We have the lovely Luce with us today. We're so excited to have her here with us. We have been hinting on Instagram that we are going to have a lovely guest with us. So, Luce, hi. We're so excited to have you here today.
Hi, hello guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are huge fans of Luce. Like I have followed her now for I think basically since you started. I remember you commented on a couple of my videos and I was like, who is this? And then I looked at your account, I was like, oh my God, I love her videos. I feel like your videos are just so cozy and relaxing, but we're going to get into that. We're going to chat about Luce's content journey and the types of books that she loves and that we love as well. And yeah, let's get into it.
So, as Bronte mentioned, we're going to be talking book recommendations, becoming a content creator, book talk drama, because we love to touch on that stuff. Just all things Luce and the bookish world.
But I feel like the best place to start is at the beginning. So, Luce, what made you join Booktok? What encouraged you to start filming and recommending books in the first place?
Well, my journey was a bit different because I actually this is actually really deep for the first question, so I'm really chucking it at you
Love
guys.
that.
But I actually got diagnosed with cancer when I was 26, and it was like my life did a complete 360. And as like a form of escapism, I massively went to books. Like they were just like a way to completely get me out of like what I was experiencing. And then as a result of that, I started, being interested in book talk and like taking in people's content and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. People are sharing their loves for books online. I want to be able to do that. And for ages, I put it off because it's like quite a nerve wracking thing, like sharing that online, isn't it? And then you've got the whole thing of like, well, what if people I know see me or this or that? And there's all these thoughts that go through your head. And then you think, well, who am I to talk about books? And all this is going through my mind. And then my boyfriend was literally like, Luce, just make the first video, post it, and go from there. And I did. And I actually haven't looked back since I made that first video. It was honestly like one of the best decisions I ever made. And it was such a nice way to have like an outlet from what I was experiencing in my personal life. So, and the thing was as well, like I kept that part of my life very private. Like I didn't share about that with BookTok or anything until maybe like a year later, I think. And so it was nice in a way just to be like normal me without like
Hmm.
any kind of, because obviously like when you're like with friends and family, they're very supportive of everything that you're going through, but in a way it's nice just to not have that associated with you sometimes.
Hmm.
So that was kind of how I started my book talk and my book journey. Yeah, and I love it. I wouldn't change a thing.
That is so crazy. And are you all like completely in? I don't know anything about this. I don't know if you do, but are you like fully like recovered, fine?
Yeah, so it was when I got diagnosed, I was actually like, I was perfectly healthy, and then I got really poorly, really quickly. Like literally over the course of like 2 months, it got to the point where I was like in a wheelchair. I was bedbound. I couldn't care for myself. Like, and it was stage 4 when I got diagnosed. It was really bad.
Oh my God.
And so obviously I didn't start creating book talk content then because that
No.
that wasn't the case. And then I started treatment, and I obviously started to get better. And then now it's been like, I think it's been almost 3 years since I got diagnosed, and I now have the all clear. And
That's so amazing.
um, and yeah, my health is the best that it's ever been, actually. So yeah, but I definitely like prioritize. Yeah, I definitely prioritize like a slower pace of life now. I think obviously we're talking about books, but when I look back at like my life before, it was very hectic and very like very stressful. And now I try and just have a little bit of like, prioritize my peace. So
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I think actually, like what you said about finding books as an escapism, we've actually touched on that a little bit before as
Hmm.
well. We once did an episode on chronic illness, which obviously is not the same as having cancer at all. But we did mention in that video, like how many people on BookTok seem to have a chronic illness or some sort of health condition, and how books can really help with that.
mhm.
So I know you said like that's a bit deep for a first question, but I actually think that was like the perfect beginning because it's something that we have talked about before.
Yeah.
And going back to your book talk journey, do you remember like what the first post was that you felt like did really well or that made you really excited?
Um, well, in the beginning, I was like majorly finding my feet and trying to figure out like what content fit with
Hmm.
me. And I do naturally gravitate towards like more chatty kind of videos where I can just yap away about books. But there was a video in particular that I made, and I think it was called something like My Guide to Easy to Consume Fantasy or something like that. And that was the first video that did really well for me. And I did that as well, just because for me, like easy to consume fantasy is those kind of books where, like, don't get me wrong, I love a book with complex world building. I love a book that makes you think, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you just want something that is a little bit easy, that you don't have to switch your brain on for, and that you can just escape into when you need. And so that was what that video is all about. And so many people were like, oh, this is actually what I've been looking for. And so I think in that same sense, people who are maybe going through things who wanted just an easy fantasy, that was kind of available and accessible to them. And yeah, that was kind of the first video that I did that kind of did that a little bit. So that was good.
Yeah, I love that. We definitely all need some like brain off books sometimes. That's why I love romance too, because I feel like
Yeah.
it's the perfect palate cleanser.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
you really switch off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember like a moment that was like a pinch me moment? Like, because obviously your account has grown a lot since coming. How long have you been a content creator now? Book creator?
I think it's coming up to 2 years now. It's coming
Was
up
there
to
like a first moment that you were like, oh my God, like can't believe this kind of stuff is happening to me?
Well, I think like the very first event that I went to be honest, was like absolutely insane and definitely like felt really ridiculous, because I feel as though so many people get imposter syndrome, whereas you go to something and you're literally there thinking like, wait a minute, what am I doing here with these people? And you've got people who are like, have got these huge accounts, and you're there like, okay, I've never met any bookish creators before. I've never had to leave my little safe space in the corner of my room. So like having to go to an event and it being with like a publisher was definitely like a pinch me kind of moment. But to be honest, I definitely still feel like I'm just like pinching myself all the time. Like you guys were like, do you want to come on this podcast? And I was like, have they got the right person? Are they sure? I'm constantly having to pinch myself, and I think it makes you like appreciate things more as well. Like I think you have if you kind of like can keep that, and I do feel like everything that I am lucky enough to get to be able to do, I don't know, I just got a huge appreciation for it. So yeah.
That's so lovely.
That is lovely. And I still can't believe I've never seen you at an event yet.
I know, it's so weird, isn't it?
No, that blows my mind, because I feel as though it's always like hit and miss. Like I remember you messaged me and you're like, are you going to this event? And I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So yeah, one day it has to be, doesn't it?
There's got to be
Definitely.
some kind of crossover at some point, surely.
You would hope, surely. I keep messaging Luce, like being like, are you going to this one? Are you going to that one? And it's just never the same ones.
Never.
Yeah.
And it's so weird, isn't it? Because I feel like you cross paths with people so constantly online. Like some people that I feel like I see their faces all the time and they'll always comment on my stuff, or like you kind of connect with, but then you never actually see in person. And then when you do see each other in person, it's like, is this awkward? Is it not awkward? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's that thing of like knowing someone online versus knowing them in real life, and it feels like a completely different ball game. And then it's also the thing of like, I recognize you, but do you know who I am? That's also the thing.
100%.
Oh, and that's my worst fear, because I'm so bad with names and like faces. And if people say to me like, oh my God, hi, and I don't know who they are, I get so panicky. Didn't that happen, didn't it, recently? So just FYI, if anyone's listening and you ever meet me, it's not on purpose, okay?
So we've talked about this in the past, and we always just feel like your content always comes across so aesthetic, so in that like soft girl era. Do you find that just comes really naturally to you, or do you find you have to like work hard to keep up that vibe across your feed?
I feel as though I do tend to navigate like that is kind of I mean, the fact that you think my content's soft girl, my life is made. But at the same time, like I think with any content you have to like work at it. It definitely like sitting and talking and chatting and whatever is kind of like my default. And I do think that that's probably like where I tend to just navigate in terms as a person. That's kind of like where I stay at. So it does come easy, but sometimes like you're going through stuff, or you're having like a crappy day, and you're like, do you know what, sometimes I'm just not feeling like, and so you do have to put that bit of work in to be like, okay, like people want to see certain things, but then I do think I think it's hard sometimes to strike a balance. And especially when your mind isn't in it, because let's be honest, we don't always feel like being in front of the camera or creating stuff.
100%.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but my creative well like has a tendency to really get depleted very easily.
We voice note each other about this all the time. We're like, I can't be fucked. I can't be fucked today.
I haven't posted consistently since like, I want to say July this year. This has been the worst I've ever been on socials
I
ever.
don't think I've posted consistently, really. I haven't posted consistently all year this year because my focus has just been elsewhere. But do you find that sometimes there's like that guilt behind not posting?
Yeah, 110%. That's the worst part of it. That can be so crippling for me, is when it's like, I actually don't feel like it. And so I'll go, okay, I'm not gonna. And then 2 seconds later, my brain will be like, yeah, but if you don't post today, you know, this is gonna happen, or so and so is gonna be disappointed in you. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? No one's gonna miss me for a day. Like, it's not actually that deep. It's just me putting
100%.
pressure on myself and causing that guilt. But I feel like we're all guilty of that. It's nice to know that you guys feel the same way as well.
Oh, 100%. And I don't know about you, but I also feel like I talked about this in the interview with Smitty quite a lot. I also feel like a quite large pressure to maintain a specific style or aesthetic, or try and do things that other people are doing. So like if there's a editing style that people are doing in videos, I'll kind of like subconsciously find myself adopting that, not even really intentionally. And I don't know if do you feel that pressure as well, or are you good at like sticking to kind of what you enjoy and what you do best?
No, I definitely am also guilty of that. Especially recently. I don't know about you guys, but I have literally seen people's editing games. They feel like they're just a different level.
Wild.
I'm like, how are people creating these? And how do they have the time? Because they seem like the detail in them is crazy. And I'm in awe of them. But then I think, oh yeah, I'll have a go at doing that. I'll be there all day. And I'm like, I just can't. I think editing is in particular does come naturally to people more than others.
100%.
It's not my strong suit, editing. It's not. But at the same time, I see people, I'm like, oh, I want to have a go at doing that. That looks really cool. And then I think,
yeah, that's my issue as well. It's like I actually love doing it. So when I see these ideas that inspire me, I'll be like, no, like you don't have the time to do that. Like just just ignore, like stick with what you know. But I can't help but like try it because I'm naturally drawn to editing. I love editing personally.
Bronte edits all of our podcasts, guys, just so you know who is the master behind the editing of the podcast. It is her.
All like the thumbnails and stuff like that, and the editing is me, and then all of the planning and the maintaining is Tor.
so nice.
And we can't talk about maintaining socials because we've been non-existent there recently. I have been on holiday, guys, so give me a break.
We'll let her off.
Okay, let's get into like actual bookish chat now. So tell us what your favorite book of 2025 has been so far.
Oh my God, this is literally like asking me to pick a favorite child if I had children.
We will let you pick 2 or 3 if you really need to. It's okay.
The ones that are at the top of my head that have really stood out to me this year have been The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, oh God, it's so good. And honest to God, obviously spoiler free, always spoiler free. But when I think about the gargoyle, I just want to cry every single time.
Yeah, no, I actually just got a jelly cat and I named him Bartholomew.
Oh, I love that.
Living in my head rent free. But why was it so funny and so sad at the same time?
Oh my God, I didn't expect, when I started off that book, I was like, oh yeah, the grumpy gargoyle, like, I don't know, I didn't expect to have that kind of emotional character development and kind of journey with him. He like took us on a roller coaster. And that like, there's like a bit on the last page, and every time like I look over that, I just want to cry. So that's like cemented deeply in my brain as a favorite. And then Beartown by Frederick Batman. Oh, again, another like emotionally impactful kind of read that just really it takes you on such a journey. And I've had so many people as well, like friends that have reached out and been like, oh Luce, I've started Beartown and I'm just not enjoying it. And I'm like, no, you need to stick with it. You need to stick with it. Because I feel as though initially it's very like you're getting different POVs. It's kind of about a small town, ice hockey, all that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden, like I feel as though everything just catapults and starts snowballing, and you're like, whoa, I cannot put this down. And
adding to TBR.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I actually brought that book because of you. I
Did
haven't,
you?
yeah, I haven't read it yet, but you and then Destiny Bombery, I think
Yeah.
that's her name, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you both raving about it, and I love like multi-POV, small town things. And then also last week, our friend Jasmine actually messaged me and was like, oh, one of them's on 99p deals. So now I've got the whole series, so I'm gonna do it soon. But yeah, I brought them because of you.
Oh, amazing. That actually makes me so happy because, as well, I think you'll really enjoy his writing style. His writing style is very, very unique. But it got to the point where I was like annotating, like literally like about 4 things on the page for every single page. And that book is just full of tabs because it's like, I was like, how is he writing like this much amazing? Oh, I don't know. I don't even have the words for like what he's created in
Yeah.
that book, but that's like 6-star, a god tier kind of read for me. And then as well, actually, another one. I know you asked for one book, but
No, we
Atmosphere
love it.
by Jenkins Reid. Oh.
What was that? Sorry, I feel like I was talking over you.
Sorry, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Oh,
Read
yeah.
it.
Haven't read it.
Haven't read it, but again, same friend, Jasmine, brought it me for my birthday because she was like, someone, and I think you especially will really like this because it's
Yeah,
kind of space oriented, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's about astronauts, NASA. I think it's set in like the 1920s,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's all about like it's just I think you will love it, but have the tissues at the ready because oh my god, yeah. As
I'm
you can tell,
scared.
I mean, kind of, yeah, do be, but at the same time, it's one of them books that hurts you but heals you.
Yeah.
So, which we love. But as you can tell, I'm the kind of girl that loves a book that makes me feel. If it's gonna make me
Yeah.
cry, great.
Well, I have seen what you have coming up on your TBR this month. And I think one of the books is going to be one of your top reads of this year, actually, which is Blood Over Brighthaven.
Oh,
I think you are going to love that book. So I'm very intrigued to hear your review of that when you're done as well.
because you read that this year, right? And you
I
loved
read
it.
it. Yeah, I read it in January and it's still my top read of the year.
Oof.
Because you've read and liked sort of Kaigan, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Read that in January, loved it, thought it was amazing. But then apparently, have you read Sword of Kragan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And which do you prefer? Which is your favorite?
I think they're really different. I think Sword of Kaigan, I love like historical military based fantasy anyway, but it was originally part of a series, so I did feel that it felt a little bit unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, Blood Over Brighthaven is written as a standalone and it's really complete start to finish. It literally made me cry 9 pages in.
Oh no,
And she never cries either. Like
Yeah.
I'm the crier of the
Yeah.
two of us for sure. Like I'm a crybaby. You hardly ever cry.
Yeah, my family calls me like ice-hearted. Like I am not a crier, so I was like blown away by that book. So I think slightly Blood Over Brighthaven, but I'm also not sure if that's just because it was, the rest of the Sword of Kaigan universe was discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be interested to see what you
So
think.
sad that happened when it's such a popular book realistically now. I wonder if they regret that decision.
Yeah, I mean, it was her decision. It was when it was indie, so she could bring it back out if she wanted to. But moving on from that, on the opposite side, what is one book that has kind of like either let you down this year or just a general Booktok book that you didn't vibe with?
Oh,
Come on,
I feel
shock
as
us. We love a shock us.
I feel as though I feel as though I'm trying to think as to whether you guys have read it and what you thought of it. But I last month read, and I never know how you say it, so please correct me. But I don't know whether it's anathema or anathema.
This is so funny because we were just literally talking about the book and the different pronunciations like 10 minutes before this call. I said to Tor, this book is such a weird one because I wanted to DNF when I think for the first 40% of the book, I was like, I'm going to DNF. I'm not liking this. Then the last half, particularly the last sort of 20 to 30%, I was like, this feels like a completely different book. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. So I had a really hard time with that one and like knowing what to rate it and how to review it. And so I decided to go straight on to book 2 when it came out, which I'm reading right now. And I think that one's going to be a 5-star.
Oh
Um,
God, okay,
and I was
that's amazing.
just saying, yeah, I was just saying to Tor that it reminds me of a combination, the book 2 specifically reminds me of a combination of A Court of Mist and Fury and Bone Island by Nicole Fiorina.
Luce is reading Hollow Heathens at the moment.
I actually was just about to say, and I saw you reading that on your Instagram.
Such a good series.
Yeah, so book 2 is like kind of made for me in that way. I mean, I have like a strong tendency towards gothic things anyway, but I know it does have a lot of triggering things. There's a lot of body horror, which is like not for everyone. It's a very creepy book.
Yeah, it is really creepy. I also love a gothic read. Like, I really, really do enjoy them. But for me, one of the things, and it sounds ridiculous, but one of the things I really struggled with is I've got like a really big fear of spiders. Normally, like in fantasy books, you see them pop up here, there, you know,
Yeah.
you blink and it's over and it's done with and you can move on with your life. Oh my God. Are we saying anathema or are we saying anathema?
I say anathema. I don't
know.
know.
We don't
Okay.
know.
In anathema, it is so heavily featured. I was like, okay. And it gets to the point where I think it's like 50 pages from the end. There's something that happens with one of the characters, and spiders literally end up crawling out of her eyes.
Yeah.
I was like,
You're making me want to read it even more now. Just with the creep factor and the different, I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to read this now.
Yeah. I am also terrified of spiders. Like, she has had a lot of group messages on the group chat about spiders from me, because I live like in the woods and we get bloody huge ones. Anyway, I will agree that was actually quite terrifying, and they were very, very creepy. I will say book 2, they feature a lot less so far. Interestingly, but I won't say any more than that, just in case you do end up reading it.
Okay. I ended up giving anathema 2 stars. And I was like, yeah, which is quite low.
Do you think you'll carry on the series, or is it like a 2-star? I'm putting in the series to bed.
I don't know. It took so much brain power from me. Like,
yeah.
And it also, but then Kerry's writing is really beautiful. Like, the way that she writes is gorgeous. So then part of me is like, maybe, and also you've done the hard work with anathema. Like, you've done all the legwork, you've done all the world building, so you already know the story and the setting is already established. So then I'm like, maybe I would enjoy book 2 more. But then I also think I have a tendency of saying this, so I'm just going to say, actually, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to carry on.
And they're very long books for something you don't enjoy. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're going into book 2 and it's 300 pages. It's nearly 800 pages. So
Is it? It's nearly 800? Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
I feel like I've been reading it for a year.
Wild. I have such bad big book fear as well, don't I? I'm terrible for putting off a big book.
I'm even worse than you are. I've still not read Neverkeep, and that was like 2 years ago.
You need to read that.
I know.
Sorry, I'm getting angry about it now. It's not even fucking funny.
I will read it. I've just been so slow with reading this year. I've read like 2 books a month. That's so bad. Anyway, we digress.
So, do you think your reading taste has changed at all since you joined Booktok? Like, have you been opened up to new genres that you never would have thought to read before, or actually has your taste pretty much stayed the same?
Yeah, it's definitely, I've definitely tried new genres that I don't think I would have tried before. So like dark romance. Before I started Booktok, I'd never read a dark romance book before. And now I love them. Now I really enjoy them. And it's the same. This is not a genre, but it's the same for Christmas romance. I didn't think Christmas romance would have been my cup of tea. And then I tried one last year and I loved it. And I just read Good Spirits as well by B.K. Borison. And have you guys read it? Have you read Good Spirits?
I've just ordered it from HarperCollins, actually, because I've been hearing such good... But I've never actually read any B.K. Borison.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't know why.
I haven't read Good Spirits, but Love Light Farms is it's my favourite Christmas romance book, and it's one of my favourite romance books generally. And obviously First Time Caller is great as well. So I'm excited to read that one.
I haven't read Love Light Farms, but now you're saying it's a perfect Christmas romance book one. Maybe I might do that in December, actually.
Oh my God, do it. You'll have such a good time. It's such a cozy, and it's friends to lovers, which I normally do not like at all, but it's so good. It's really good.
I also feel like B.K. Borison has just got like this way of writing that no matter what their initial relationship is, she just makes it, it always has like a spark. They always have a special kind of chemistry.
Yeah.
I love it when an author can do that, when you just feel the spark. There's nothing I hate more than reading a romance and you're like, this is doing nothing for me. I find it infuriating.
Soul searching.
Don't hush your beat.
I haven't read it. Is it not good? Is it not good?
No, it's
I loved it. She didn't like it. It's like a typical Tor and Brontey fucking spat over romance book.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like maybe I won't like Love Light Farms.
But I was just going to say, in our group, Polly, Amy and Jasmine also didn't love Soul Searching. So it's not just me. Just saying.
really easily pleased. Okay, we know it.
She is easily pleased with romance. That's not a bad thing because you're getting the good reads at the end of
Just
the
an
day.
easy little slut.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that, but you went there.
Oh, fine. Okay, right. Moving swiftly on.
I feel like we have to ask this for our listeners at home. If there was one book actually that you could recommend that everybody should read, whether it's from this year, 5 years ago, what would it be?
Oh, part of me wants to say something like that. I'm going to say a fantasy book because I'm staying true to my roots. And I'm going to say To Bleed a Crystal Bloom, just because I feel as though, obviously, now it's been traditionally published. So hopefully it's going to have its moment. But that, all three books, there's only 3 books out at the moment, but all 3 books have been like 5 stars. It is a god tier series for me, and it is dark and it is gorgeous. And I just love the way that Sarah A. Parker writes. Like, she just does something to me with her writing. It is just a work of art. And yeah, that series in particular, like obviously everybody talks about When the Moon Hatched. People love it or people hate it. There's like a bit of a mixed bag situation there. Whereas I feel as though To Bleed a Crystal Bloom is like, and you go on such a character development journey. I love it where you're like really invested in the characters and you're like, sometimes you're like, I don't quite understand why these characters do what they're doing, but by the end of it, you're like, whoa, they've grown as a person, or they've been through things, they have their shit, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah. So I think I would have to say To Bleed a Crystal Bloom.
You still need to read it.
I do still need to read that one. I did love When the Moon Hatched, though. That's actually been one of my top books of this year. So I will go on to Bleed a Crystal Bloom. Tor actually brought me the indie version like a while ago.
Yeah,
like 2 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't read it was because there was a little bit of like negativity around their relationship at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go into it with those preconceptions.
Yeah.
So but now I'm glad because now I've read When the Moon Hatched. I know what her writing's like, so I feel like I'm really gonna love it.
Yeah, because I always said to you even before When the Moon Hatched, like her writing is so well done and poetic. Like it just, to me, it felt like the type of writing style that you would love. Yeah, absolutely. You won't believe this. I read the first 2 books, and with the cliffhanger at the end of book 2, I actually didn't go on to book 3.
Well, you off. You're like, no.
No, it wasn't even that. It was that I knew that there had been no date for book 4. I read books 1 and 2 easily 12-18 months ago. It was ages ago, but I knew that there was no release date for book 4 yet, and I was just like, I am going to wait and I'm going to read book 3 at a later date when I know that there's another one to go on to, because I was just like, this is wild.
Yeah, the things she's taken no prisoners. She is literally like, it is every man for himself in this book. And I kind of wish I'd have done the same, because I feel as though, imagine if you could just like binge through the whole series, what kind of experience you would have. But then it is the kind of series that for me has just stayed like living rent free in my head, and I think about it constantly. I'm like, no, I need to know what happens next with these characters.
Plus, sometimes when the next one does come out and you reread the series, you actually find things you loved even more. Because I just did that with the Legendborn books, and reread Legendborn and Bloodmarked, and then did Oathbound, and loved them even more. Like Legendborn went from a 4-star to a 5-star. So that kind of reread that you get to do when a new book comes out is so fun.
Yeah, that's true. Any excuse to reread a favorite, I'm here for that.
Yeah. Plus, I guess like back then she was still an indie author as well, so you were making sure by reading them as they came out that she could continue to publish them.
So true.
So really you're just like doing your little bit for the authors, guys.
I worry how long we will have to wait though, because obviously she delayed the Ballad of something, whatever it's going to be called, for book 2 of When the Moon Hatched. That got delayed by quite a while for book 2 of that. So I'm like, how long are we going to have to wait for book 4? Like, what's the priority going to be for her and Harper Voyager in terms of like the releases of these books, especially? But I hold some hope now that they are trad publishing To Bleed a Crystal Bloom. I'm like, well, it's obviously on their radar and they're going to, prioritize it at some point.
Yeah. And you never know, like the delay on The Ballad of Fallen Dragons could have been because of production or something. So she could have been writing the other one.
Who knows?
Or editing the other one in the background.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
Next year, if we could get book 2 of the Moon with Fall series and then book 4 of Bleeding Across Ribbon next year, can you imagine? That would be so good. I'm gonna, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
So we're going to go back to talking about content creation a little bit now. And I personally feel like people who don't do content don't really understand how much work goes into it. And I know you do TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, I think, right? Those are the 3. Yeah. So could you talk us through like what a normal day of producing content or filming looks like for you?
Yeah. So I actually used to be a bit of like a wing it kind of person, and I'd just be like, I'd get up and I'd be like, oh, I feel like creating this kind of content today. And then since I've started YouTube, that is just not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. And so I have started like on a Sunday, I will do like kind of like I'll spend like a couple of hours, I'll do my prep for the week and try and figure out, okay, these are the kind of content I want to make. I'm gonna like batch film TikToks on this day, I'm gonna have an editing day here, I'm gonna have a day of like filming YouTubes. And especially with YouTube, I think it's quite a tricky one to navigate sometimes, because especially if you're doing a vlog, you have to really try and figure out and like mark out and carve out the time when you're going to be able to do that and do it to a, because I think in the past, especially when I first started, I would make a vlog for something and I'd just be like, I haven't given it the time that it deserves to have. And then you put out content that you're not necessarily proud of. And so now I'm really conscious that any kind of YouTube content in particular that I put out, I want to be really proud of. So I'm trying to really prioritize that one in particular at the moment. And so like if I think typically I kind of tend to do like batch filming for TikToks on a Monday. So I'll be like, okay, I've got this idea, I've got this idea, I've got this idea. And then I'll batch film them, and then in the afternoon I'll try and do something different, because my brain tends to switch off a little bit if I try and do like all of one thing in one day. So if I'm like, oh, I'm just going to film every single thing on this day, my brain's like, it's drifting out the window, it's procrastinating, it's like I don't want to do this. So if I split up the day in half, that like work better for me. So like in the morning I'll answer emails, I'll do like any admin, all that kind of stuff. And then like I'll do like a few hours of filming, have a little bit of a breather, and then I will like edit typically like into the evening. But then again, it depends. So like if I am filming like a vlog where it's like across a week, I'll try and like add in like those bits and split that up across a few days, just so it's not all in one. But then like this weekend, for example, I think as well, this is a really long-winded answer to you guys, but
No, we love it.
especially in content creation, it's difficult to try and like actively have time off for yourself too. And so like I don't know about I don't know about you guys, but I struggle to like I'll get through the week and I'll be like, I actually haven't had a day off. I haven't had any time for myself. So I've also been trying to have like Saturday and Sunday off. That hasn't been going too well actually, but that's my aim. I set out with that at the beginning of the week and we see how it goes. So I try and like batch do things, and then I try and also just like split it up. So I'll do like half day of different things, and that seems to work quite well for me, I think.
Yeah, we know how you feel because we both work full time and Friday is our day off, and we do this on Fridays. So we don't actually have a day off. If you don't mind me asking, you can keep this to yourself if you do. Do you do content full time now?
I do, yeah. So previously, before I got ill, I worked in unscripted television.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was what I did, and I loved it.
What does that mean?
So I was a researcher for like shows like The Chase, that kind of stuff. So it's like any entertainment shows where it's not scripted. So that was what I did, but it was very high stress. It was, and I do think that has an impact on your health too. And so then obviously I got ill. I had to literally like just quit my job straight away. And I had to move back home because I just couldn't physically care for myself anymore. So then obviously I've been taking time out for my health, and then I just fell into this as a hobby, and now I'm trying to make it into a full-time career. But I think it's a tricky one, because especially when you are self-employed and you're actively trying to pursue that, like the only person you have to depend on is yourself, which is a blessing and a curse. There's good things from that and there's bad things from that. And so trying to keep motivated as well can sometimes be a little bit tricky. But then at the same time, I am doing things that I love. I get to like come up with the content. I get to create the content. there's only myself to answer to, which is amazing. But then sometimes I would love to have like be able to have someone to like bounce ideas creatively off, because I also think that's really fun too. So yeah, so that's my current situation at the moment.
I feel like that's how we really ended up kind of doing stuff like this together as well, isn't it? Because we love just like like we made friends through Booktok originally, obviously, and we were in a bigger group, but we both take content at different periods in our lives quite seriously, and having each other to just always be like bouncing ideas off, or if something had kind of gone a bit wrong, or having it, we both have very different skill sets that we're good at, so having each other for that is it is definitely helpful.
100%. So yeah, completely get what you're saying about the hard part about being self-employed is just like also just the physicalness of being alone, kind of like, you know, like one thing, because I was self-employed fully last year, and one of the things that I did miss was actually just like getting to chat to people throughout the day, because I would only be able to chat to these guys on a WhatsApp group, and that was it. And I was just like blowing up.
That wasn't enough for you.
So yeah, I completely get how you mean. And actually, the reason I asked whether you were doing content full time was because I was then going to say, like, if you are doing content full time, what helps you stay consistent with it without it feeling like a chore?
Oof. Sometimes it does. It definitely does feel sure. Like I think, like I said, when you've only got yourself to like rely on, sometimes it can be like, okay, I've got and especially like if that creative well is empty and you're trying to come up with ideas and you're like, I need to put some content out here this week or next week or whatever. Sometimes that can just feel like a lot. But then I also do think one of the ways that I do kind of manage that is even though like I'm working by myself, I do need time by myself to like recharge my batteries, if that makes sense. But like time where I'm not doing like any form of content creation, even if it's just doing like mindful things, so like literally just like doing like a junk journal, or I don't know, something where you just don't have to think, but you're by yourself, you've got like a really good playlist on, something that just doesn't involve creating for the sake of other people but maybe for yourself, I think.
Yeah, I love that, because I literally said, I can't remember what episode it was. We did an episode about, I think it was about well-being and soft girl era. And I was saying, like, I feel like everybody in the world, whether they are a creative person or not, should have a creative hobby, because it's so therapeutic and so good for your mental well-being. So like I am exactly the same as you. Like if I don't have some time in the week to either, I don't know, like do a coloring book or just something like that that's completely no screen, something that's really different to my day-to-day work as well, then I just feel like burnt out. So yeah, I completely agree. You need to get a creative hobby.
Content is my creative hobby.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And let's face it, we talk about busy. I have a full-time job, content, podcast. I've got 2 small children, a teenager. I'm on the PTA.
I was just about to say,
oh my God.
Despite all that, somehow decided to join the PTA this year. So that one's on you.
I can't help it. It's just I don't know how to. I'm not good. I'm like you. I need space on my own to recharge for sure. But I just chronically suffer with anxiety. And as soon as I stop and slow down, I feel anxious. So I keep myself, it's so unhealthy, and people shouldn't do this. I'm not advocating for this. I would love it to be my full-time job. Like it's like the dream. I don't really give myself time to make it the dream, unfortunately.
I think it's just that hard, like capitalist catch-22 of you have to work to earn money. How do you fit the time in to do the things you want to do? And you just go around in a loop, don't you? But I mean, I think you'll get there one day of making it full time.
We'll see. Who bloody knows? Who bloody knows? But talking about like creativity, guys, like we were just saying, like I feel like that actually has been my creative outlet, because I'm not an artistic person in the slightest. But over the last few years, there's definitely been a shift in like content creation. We touched on this earlier with like editing. And do you think that there is like a push and pressure now to actually, as a creator, not just put the content out there, but have your own brand as a creator?
Yeah, I do. I think there is. And I don't know whether I'd love to like hear your opinion on it too, because I don't know, obviously like the majority of the time when you're consuming content, you're by yourself or whatever. So you've got all these opinions in your mind and you're like, oh, I wonder whether anybody else thinks this, but I do feel as though before you used to just be able to create like a little video. It was very like easy, and there wasn't a lot of pressure for it to be any kind of like polished, almost like a movie in a sense. Like
Yeah.
I feel as though people are like creating these kind of like I don't know, like there's just so much that goes into some people's like content, and I think it is amazing. But at the same time, then I think, there's a lot of pressure to maintain that as well.
Mhm.
And so I think it's important to make sure that if you are thinking about yourself as a brand, that you're making it maintainable for you and
Mhm.
your scope and your potential for work. And because otherwise, I think if you start on something and you're like, okay, I'm going to create this, but it's like way out of my kind of like time frame, or I don't have enough time to do this, but I'm gonna, and you start doing that, people then expect it of you, don't they?
Yeah.
And so then it's like you need to, it needs to be realistic in terms of what you can manage and what you can do. But yeah, I do think that a lot of creators now are identifying themselves as a brand. But then I
Mm.
do think it's also easy to navigate, because in my head, if I'm like, oh, I'm in a mood to watch something particular, I'll go to a certain person because it's part of their brand in a way. I
Yeah.
think it's a
Yeah.
good thing, and a yeah, I think it's hard to strike a balance sometimes. And I also think it can be tricky because when you're with your content all the time, you're the one person that is, we are consuming our own content 24/7. And
Yeah.
sometimes you get a bit bored of the content you're putting out there. And I think,
Mhm.
you know what? I feel as though I am having an identity crisis. So I want to change my entire content. And then I think, well, nobody's going to want to do that. But then also sometimes as well, I feel as though like growth, I think one of the main things that I've learned in my content creation journey is that growth isn't linear. Like, you see something doing well and you expect it to just carry on doing well, but it peaks
Mhm.
and it troughs the entire
Yeah.
time. And part of that is like knowing that everyone experiences that no matter what level you're at. Like even content creators that are at like 2 million, they're going to have times where their content dies and doesn't do as
Mhm.
well, or it's everyone's going to experience that. But then that also does have a knock-on effect on your brand. So yeah,
100%.
it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Out of all the platforms that you create on, so like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I think are your three main platforms, right?
Mhm.
What is your favorite platform to create for and why?
My favorite platform to create for now is YouTube. I really, yeah, it's just the whole concept of creating for that, what from like start to finish, from coming up with the ideas for vlogs and for like chatty videos and stuff, to getting it filmed and then to editing as well. It's just, I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the final product of things too. I think TikTok comes easier to me
Mm.
because we've been doing it for a lot longer on that
Mhm.
platform, but YouTube as a whole is harder but more enjoyable.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think YouTube as well, like the community feels a little bit different there, and I feel like you also have more space to fully flesh out your thoughts without feeling like you need a hook or a time limit. So
Yeah.
you can actually dive into something and make sure your opinion and review is like well-rounded, as
Hmm.
opposed to maybe TikTok, people are misinterpreting things in the comments and you think, oh yeah, I should have said that, but I was on a time crunch, so I didn't.
Yeah.
And I just love that element of it. And it takes so much work, YouTube, and I feel like you do need more of like a better setup and
Mhm.
things. Um, but it is, I agree, like the reward is much higher after.
Yeah, so true. And I
Yeah.
I
think
wouldn't know.
with with TikTok, it can be difficult because you feel as though you are constantly like you said, under a time pressure. It's like, okay, you've got like, I don't know, you want to do like a review about a book you've loved, but people's engagement for that app turns off after 3 seconds. So it's like, okay, I need to hook them in. I need to try and find a way to keep them captivated. But actually, all I want to do is just tell you how much I love this bloody book. And
Mhm.
so with YouTube, you have the freedom to be able to just yap, and people kind of
Yeah.
just like to sit down and get cozy and do that, which I think then makes it more enjoyable as a creator because you're able to get your passion across a lot more.
So kind of carrying on in this kind of like theme, but moving more on to the Booktok community, which is amazing, but it definitely comes with its fair share of drama. Do you think that what is your thoughts on creators' responsibility to use their platforms in the right way? Do you think creators have like a responsibility to use them?
Yeah, I feel as though I was thinking about this, and I think we all have a responsibility, to treat our platforms carefully. But I think, regardless of like, I think that transfers over to real life as well. Do you know what I mean? So I feel as though it is really, really important to try and have responsibility for yourself and your actions, and to try and like research things to the best of your ability that are going to really give your audience the best possible kind of experience, but also, like, it is important that the things that you are putting out there are are protecting people at the same time.
Mhm.
And so I do feel like we do have a duty of care in that sense. And then I think sometimes it can just be really difficult because you go on Booktok, and in a sense, like, all you want to do is talk about books. But then there's it's like you can't have one without the other. Do you know what I mean? You have to be very careful, I think, about how you go about things. And I also think that sometimes it can be tricky, because I feel as though, especially in the last year, I've noticed a big difference in terms of like, there seems to be like a lot of I don't know about you, but when I first started on BookTok, and I don't know if that was just because it was new and whatever, but people spoke about books, and I feel as though maybe people were just automatically like a little bit more careful, or maybe we didn't. And now I feel as though, especially if you have a larger platform, I do think that you have to be careful. But then at the same time, if you have a smaller platform, you have to be careful. We all have
Yeah.
a responsibility, don't we, and a duty of care.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess if you have a bigger platform, it's just more visible straight away.
Yeah.
But even if you have a small account, things can blow up and you don't know how things are going to be perceived.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I think it has changed a little bit in the last maybe year or so. I think people are louder
yeah,
with things, louder with their opinions, louder with what they're doing online.
And their want for cancel culture is intense, which as a creator is scary. Like always feel scared that I'm going to stick my foot in it,
mhm.
and people are going to come down on me like a ton of bricks just because I don't think before I speak.
Yeah. It,
Yeah.
it can be really anxiety inducing, trying to
Mm.
make sure that every single thing that you say is like appropriate. And yeah, and sometimes as well, especially if I'm naturally an overthinker, and so I will produce a piece of content, and in my head I'll be like, yeah, it's fine, and then I'll think, wait a minute, but I just need to make sure it's fine for every single person that's thinking from different angles and all that.
Hmm.
So yeah, there is that side of things, and I do think people are definitely louder as well. So
Mm.
yeah, it's hard sometimes to strike a balance, isn't it, between um being like, I feel as though it's quite tricky sometimes to like have your opinion as well on these kind of spaces, and convey that in a way that is authentic to you and protective of other people and their
Yeah.
opinions, feelings, and all the different communities that are so important to have a voice. So it can be
Yeah.
tricky.
It definitely can be tricky. And like, do you feel pressured to comment on things or to not comment on things because of that?
Well, I've thought a lot about this, and I think because of what I have been through, I've worked really hard to try and create like a cozy, safe space
Mm.
that people can watch, and if they've had a crappy day, they can watch a video, and I don't know, life just doesn't seem as dark or as bleak, and it's a bit of
Mhm.
escapism for them too. And
That's
so
so
I
nice.
I try and keep that kind of I try and keep that. And then I think anything that I want to do in my personal life to make a difference, I can do. But in terms of my content and the stuff that I put out, I'm just going to try and keep it cozy and safe. That's my
Yeah.
kind of view.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know if you've ever gotten any, so maybe we don't have to answer this if not, but if you do get negativity online, how have you dealt with it?
I definitely do. Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
do
And
you?
I
That's
do.
that really
Me
surprises
too,
me.
actually.
Like,
Oh my God. Yeah, I get some really interesting comments, but comments that are like, So the majority of people, I will say, like 98% of people are lovely, super supportive, gorgeous, you know, here for that. But then there are people that just love to hate on anything that you do. And when I first started out, I was like, oh crap, this is I don't quite like this. And then, do you know what? I'll be completely honest. Like I need to protect my peace, and the block button is my best friend. If someone comments something that is nasty and hateful, I'm not even going to give you the time of day. I'm just going to block you. That's top and bottom of it. Because at the end of the day, like if you are that hateful and you are that nasty, you do not deserve an inch of my mental space. So I'm just going to block you, and I'm never going to think about you again.
She's laughing at me because we were just talking about this as well, actually. And I said, Tor is good at blocking and moving on.
Mhm.
I am not. I will do a video.
Yeah, you are.
I will reply. I can't help it. I'm a Leo, guys. It's the fire sign in
And
me.
it really, I mean, typical Gemini as well. It really depends on where I am in the month. Like, if you catch me while I'm PNTing, you are fucked. If you catch me maybe right before I'm ovulating, I'm like, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Let's just get rid of you and forget about it. Like, it really does depend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my reaction is pretty consistent, and that is to clap back, as the kids would say.
Typical fire sign. As the kids would
As
say.
the kids would say. No, but like, no, I'm really bad for it. Like, I actually just, and it will like play on my mind. Even if I do block and move on, I'll be thinking about it like, how dare they?
Yeah.
But anyway, do what Luce and Tor does and not what I do is the mod.
The temptation, though, the temptation to reply something like, oh yeah, the temptation. I physically have to like restrain my hands. I'm like, no, just block. But really, I want to reply to you because, like, you know, yeah. So there is a huge temptation there to reply. But then I think I'm not even going to give you the time of day. See you later.
I think for you as well, it must be when it is your full-time job and it is what brings you income, you have to have more of business mind with it. I think like in my job, I'm very good because my natural inclination is to snap back at people, isn't it? Like I'm a fiery person, like don't fuck with me kind of energy. But my job obviously makes me become more mindful and to take that pause and think about how I would respond to things. And I think when it is your full-time job, you of course have to, because anything you say or do can impact, you know, your future earnings. And when that is your sole, you know, income, you have to be mindful of that. So it makes complete sense that you would manage it like that, even if you wouldn't necessarily deal with it like that in the outside world.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And to kind of round off this little section, do you personally think there is a way for Booktok to stay or become like a positive place, but also remaining honest with like critical reviews and things like that?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's like, have you seen the bean soup theory about how, so this girl created a video about bean soup, and I think somebody commented saying, but what if you don't like beans? And then this other creator like made a video basically being about how we're kind of living in a culture where everybody feels like they have to make it about themselves.
Oh my God, yeah, I've seen a few different like spins on this actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like someone makes a blueberry, that they're sharing a blueberry pie recipe, and someone's like, but what if I'm allergic to blueberries? And it's like, but it's not about you. If you don't like blueberries, scroll. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So sometimes I think it's yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know is the answer. I don't know how to, because I think it would be really nice for it to be more of a positive space. But I don't know. What do you guys, I'd love to know what you guys think on that one.
I I don't think it is possible, because I think this is going to get very deep now, but I think it speaks to the way the world is and the culture is wider than Booktok. Like, I just think it's an issue all round of people being a bit more filled with hatred and anger, and like the state of the world reflects that. And I think for the up and coming generations, Gen Z and Gen what's below Gen Z?
Can't remember.
Don't know. Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha, I think you might be right.
They have known is social media and online spaces, whereas it probably came in, you know, early teens for us. So I think for them, they don't see it as a big deal. It's almost normalized for this like bad behavior and like strong opinions to be in your face all the time. So I do worry a little bit about that, because I do think people don't, I mean, we've talked about this before as well, people don't really understand the repercussions of what they're doing online and how that can affect very real things like your relationships and your jobs and
Oh, yeah.
etc. But I think until the world becomes a little bit more tolerant and a bit of a nicer place, online spaces won't either. I don't know if you agree.
Very similar thought processes. I think that whether social media had happened now or years ago or whatever, I think there are always good and bad people in the world. And unfortunately, the bigger Booktok has become, and there is no denying it, that the Booktok space specifically, not even like Bookstagram and Booktube, they have blown up publishing to a ridiculous degree over the last few years. And unfortunately, there are people in the space and in the community now that are just there to have a piece of the pie. That is
Yeah.
just the reality of it, in my opinion. Because 3 years ago, the culture was for people to book fairy each other and just send each other gifts online
Oh,
and just
yeah.
support each other, and it was such a lovely space to be in.
Yeah.
And now that isn't the case, and it's not everyone. There are so many lovely genuine people online, and you kind of get to a point where you think, oh, like, you know, I've made my kind of like book friends now. But then you come across new people, like, oh my, like this year is really the year that, I don't know if you know her, Jem Preston. She's an author and a creator, and she's just become like one of my like closest little online friends this year. And I think there is still good to be had in it. But as a creator, I feel a responsibility to constantly push for that more positive dynamic, because the more you feed into the negative, you're just feeding the negative. It's the age old like war begets war, peace begets peace kind of thing. So I don't ever really truly think that it will be a completely positive space. But we, all we can do is hope and, try and do better ourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I actually do think, though, one thing I've changed my mind on to do with this is that I used to be like in the camp of like, oh, reading is just reading. It's not that deep, it's just a hobby that people do for fun. And now I am much more like, no, reading is knowledge, reading is power. Like, think critically about the books you're reading, think critically about what you're consuming, and think critically about how you review it. So now I almost kind of like try harder to do these in-depth, well thought out reviews that also encourage other people to really think about what they're reading and what that means to them and what the themes are within the books. And I do think the more people do that, the less these kinds of rage bait reviews or rage bait opinions will occur. But I mean, we went on very deep there. Typical me there.
I mean, we all do. I feel like it's sometimes the thing with these interviews, you kind of forget that this is going to go to YouTube and Spotify as a podcast, and we're just having a normal fucking gym wag.
Yeah, it's just, I mean,
everyone should have a cocktail.
We're yappers at the best of times, let alone on a podcast. But I feel like now is the perfect time to dive into some fun and go back lighthearted again.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to do a quick fire round of options. And I don't know, do we want to do context or no context?
We'll just do, no, I mean, I feel like they're all pretty self-explanatory, really, aren't they?
True. Okay.
Okay. These are for you, and you have to answer as quickly as possible. If you watch Friends, you'll get it straight away. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Kindle or physical?
Physical.
Hardback or paperback?
Paperback.
Grumpy Sunshine or Enemies to Lovers?
Enemies to lovers.
Sarah A. Parker or Rachel Gillig?
Sarah Parker.
ACOTAR or Throne of Glass?
Throne of Glass.
Zayden or Kingfisher?
Kingfisher. No.
Oh.
Zayden. I take it back, Zayden.
I was going to say that's a controversial one.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
But as you can tell, we could yap all day, but we probably should stop here. But we've had such a lovely time, Luce. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening back home, make sure you follow and subscribe to us, but also make sure you follow and subscribe to Luce. Luce, do you want to shout about where people can find you?
I'd love to. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, first of all. But the places you can find me on are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And my handle is Luceaslibrary, Luceas Library. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
We'll make sure that we obviously tag it in our
description.
in our captions.
It'll be in the description below. But yes, thank you so much for listening, guys, and make sure to tune in another 2 weeks for another episode. Bye.
Bye.